Okay, so as a financial advisor, you probably have your doubts about using YouTube. A few years ago, it would have been unheard of, but now really the benefits are overwhelming, and more. It's still not adopted by most firms, but those who are adopting it are having great benefits, and I'm going to talk to you about that now. Many advisors make a huge effort in building the SEO of their websites. Maybe a lot of them pay outside consultants a lot of money. They spend a lot of time. They spend a lot of their staff resources, and they spend time monitoring those results too. But many of those same advisors, many of you out there, maybe you spent time on SEO for your content, but you haven't even thought about using video, or you haven't started yet. And even though using video can actually maybe get you better results and much more easily. Shortly after Google's purchase of YouTube in 2006, they made a change to their search engine, and they started integrating mixed content types to their normal web search. So when you go into google.com and do a regular search, you started getting results like blog posts, videos, books. And what they were doing, they were taking their sub-search engines where they index all this information and starting to put it into the normal search. A lot of times that content is very important content for the search that the person's looking for. And they realize that and want to start indexing it and showing it more. So previously, when they didn't do such a good job of that, people would go directly to the video sharing sites. Now it's all changing. With YouTube as the king of video content and Google the king of search indexing that content, relevant videos can now be found very easily. So as you see in this slide, there was a big gap. Most people would use the old sites, and now would use the video sharing sites. And now to find relevant content, it's about an even split, and it's going to be more and more towards search engines. So what you really want to do is create content and get it indexed in Google. So these are some of the subcategories that Google has that are now being included in search, and video is a big one. We don't know what they use in their algorithm to include video or not, but they're definitely weighting it higher than they did in the past. So here's Google's video search engine. In this search, I did a search for Roth IRA conversion, and the top video is actually from a financial planning firm called the Neighbors Group in Denver, Colorado. Now, despite the fact that it's a small independent planning firm, their video is getting great results. That's because so few companies are creating video content and properly optimizing it. So everyone's focused on text and optimizing their site for text, and the few that are optimizing for video are getting great results. So even though it's the content is growing quickly, so even though people are starting to create videos, they need to know how to optimize it as well. And this is an opportunity for you, as it hasn't yet had widespread commercial adoption. So now when you take that same phrase, Roth IRA conversion, and put it into the regular Google search, not the videos, here's the tabs that have the different video searches or images. In the regular Google search, you're going to have really tough competition, and these are the ones you're competing against with your text content and your videos as well, but you're going to have a lot more competition. You'll see there's articles from Bankrate, Wall Street Journal, RothIRA.com, which has it in the URL, so that really helps them. So since Google's having those mixed results, we get the video up there. That's a shortcut to get to the top page. So the key elements of optimizing your video, after you create something that's of value to the people who are searching, you want to have a title that's catchy and relevant. That's going to be key. That's the number one thing that Google says they value. Then really it's only three things that optimize your video: title, description, and keywords. The description, as Jason showed you in YouTube when you're to the description, you have plenty of space to do it. They could be 5,000 characters, though there are two key cutoff points. After 80 characters, that's what people will see by default. So to see any more, they have to click the expand button, and not everyone does that. And also within that 80, Google rates that even higher, because that's kind of that's what you're starting with. That's your key part of the description. Then 140 is what gets indexed in the search engines. So again, when you're writing your description, keep those cutoff points in mind. You want to include key links like your website, right, as high as you can in the description, and other videos. But make it readable. Make it a nice description of the video, but you can have your links in there. And a good way to use the description is to summarize the key points of the video. Bullets are good because they highlight the key points. And you want to get a good description, but you still want to keep it keyword dense, and you want it to make sense. So you're not just spamming keywords in there. Have a nice description of what you're talking about. And if your video is very targeted, it's going to be have some nice keyword density. So again, don't spam your keywords. And when posting to multiple video sites, try changing those keywords. So maybe to YouTube, you'll have your SEO strategy a certain way. That same video you can post to other sites, and that's a chance for you to experiment with some other keywords higher up, a little bit of a different focus in the description, and so on. And then you'll see then monitor it, see what gets better results, and there you go with your strategy. So with a good video, when you properly tag it and have a good description, good title, you have a great path to the top, especially when you have a targeted video or targeted keywords. So we took that, here's that same, we're doing another search in the main Google web search, and this time we're searching for Roth IRA conversion video for retiree. So it's a little more detailed. Remember before, this video that I showed from the neighbors group did well on a more generalized term. But when you use long-tail terms, so something that is more descriptive, that's where you're going to have less competition, and that's a lot of times what people are searching for. So adding retiree or adding Roth IRA conversion for retiree in New York, for example, if you target your video in that direction and your keywords in that way, you're going to get great results. So other things that you might think about if you're doing a Roth conversion video might be talking about focusing on the pitfalls of a Roth conversion, word your keywords around that, or if converting is a good idea for people in different age brackets. So they got a great result here as the third overall result. Now, this video clearly did well, but it can be done even better. If you look into, just giving a study of their descriptions and their tags, we can see definitely ways to improve. And we're talking about improving off of a top Google rank. So even this video, which is well done, can be bettered by any of you. So first, notice that the default description ends awkwardly. You could also rework it a little bit to have Roth IRA in there. So maybe Jeff Neighbors of the Neighbors Group on Roth IRA conversions, and or on Roth IRAs, and get your link in there. That would have fit under 80 characters, and you get those keywords in there, so you'd have an improvement. Now, their full description is good in that it has 2 links in there, but they're only using 600 characters when 5,000 are permitted by YouTube. So here they could have talked more about about the video, about the key points. If they did kind of a summary of the video, they'd have the words Roth IRA conversion in there so many times because that's what their video is about. It's very targeted, and that would be a good solution. Other options, you can transcribe the video as long as you're within those 5,000 characters, and that could work as well. Putting captions within the video is a little more complicated, but it can also be a good idea. But stick to the words that the person speaking is saying. Don't just throw keywords in there because that's not going to be effective. So another way that they could have improved is that they don't have much YouTube community participation, and this really helps the ranking of videos. So even though they have 5,500 views, which is good, they have only 3 likes and 0 dislikes. So a lot of indifference. We also see no comments. So it's good to maybe put out the first comment, say, hey, comment on my video, let me know if you have any questions. If someone asks a question, you should thank them. And that's very important. You want a lot of conversation about your videos. That's going to help you. And moderate the comments every now and then. I know everyone's busy, but go in and moderate. Make sure that you don't have any people spamming links in your comments or using foul language. Or if people critique you, that's okay. Address their criticisms and keep it positive and keep people commenting. And also link to related videos. Here you see that he created 25 videos, but when you finish the video, the related ones that come up are from other firms. But if you would have related the videos, people tend to watch YouTube in bunches, so you want to relate your videos so that when the first one finishes, they'll get another video of yours. Now, the way that they did it, by not putting links to those videos, their other videos are not appearing. So how can you boost the hype around your video and thus get a better ranking? More page views, more comments. You can share your video on the social networking sites. Include the URL for your YouTube link. So if you have it on other sites, try to keep all the comments, keep pushing people towards YouTube so you get all the comments in one place. You don't want it spread out around all the sites. It's better to have more comments in one place. It helps if more people like your video. So do a good video and then let people know about it. Dislikes hurt your video more than a like helps it. So make sure that the keywords that you use are about your video. If your video is about Roth IRA conversions, don't try to use another topic in your keywords to attract attention, because people will get there and see that it's not what they were looking for, and they'll dislike it, and that'll quickly bury your video, and it won't get a good ranking. One thing that the Neighbors group did well, and is important, is that they reposted the video on a number of different sites. So when I searched for the video, I actually found that same video on vodpod.com and on YouTube and on MetaCafe. And when done right, this is a great strategy. Even you know, it's great anyway, just to get your video out there to more places. So by doing that, this gives you a chance to tweak your keywords and your description with each site. Maybe you'll get your video up in the search engines multiple times, which would be great. And you know, it really doesn't hurt you. So that's a great strategy. Actually, if you do some searches for them, their video comes up more than once. So now I'll just quickly run through details about the titles and descriptions that you put in YouTube. Titles are 100 characters, 65 of which appear in the search results. So that's important. You can have a longer title, but they're going to cut it down to 65 when it's in Google. So try to keep those first 65 ending in a good end point. Don't have it leave hanging words. Titles have more weight than anything, any other item. And you want to, that along with your thumbnail is what represents your video. So if people do a search and your video comes up and your thumbnail is just a kind of a blank white screen, that's not going to get good results. So you want to check your thumbnail as well. Usually some sites have it as the first image that's on screen, and YouTube has it right as the middle image. So you want to just make sure it's acceptable. It should be fine. Probably a picture of you talking if it's with YouTube, because that's right in the middle. Make sure your keywords are in the title and together. So the Roth IRA conversion, should you convert to a Roth IRA, was a good title because it had convert, Roth, and IRA, and it had IRA in there twice. So that's good. Just don't keep repeating keywords in your title and have the title not make sense. Redundant keywords don't really add to the title, aren't going to help you. You kind of want to have a title that people will search for and that's relevant to your video. Again, 5,000 characters for your description. Use it, but use it wisely. Keep your keywords dense. You don't have to go with a background necessarily about your company if your video is about how to do a Roth IRA conversion. You want to keep it on topic. Use up really as you would other SEO articles. Keep it about the content that's on the page. In this case, your video, and summarize it. Use bullets. Those help to highlight different words, so search engines take those more prominently. And add links to your other videos, as I'll repeat again, because that's important and a lot of people forget it. Okay, keyword tags, keep them relevant. Again, as I said before, keywords that don't match the video, when people search them, they'll dislike it and you'll be buried, so keep it on point. Went through most of these, but just to highlight a few, you want to, one option here, number 8, I went through pretty much all of these, but number 8, give the option to embed your video to other people. So on YouTube they make that available where the code is there. You can have the code easily available for people. So say you're doing a video on how to budget during the holiday season. Maybe there's plenty of bloggers out there that might stumble onto your video and say, hey, this is great, can I use it? And you have the code right there for them to use, and that'll really get more views on your video. And a video sitemap is important for your own website. For YouTube, you don't need it, but if you're posting on your own website, That's important. Advisor Products can help you with that if you use our website. We submit to Google for you. And that's one area where the example that I used that they didn't do well. The neighbors group had their videos on their site all on one page. They had a page called Videos, and just one right after the other. And none of those appeared in any of the Google searches, because when you have a video on your site, it should be on a unique page, so each video have its own URL, its own title, its own description, and its own keywords. That's really going to help you. Put it all onto one page, it gets kind of jumbled together. Each of the keywords doesn't have as much importance. You're spreading it around too much. Keep each video on its own URL, keep it focused, and you're going to get better results on your site. And if you can, brand your video with your logo. That always helps. You're getting a couple thousand people viewing the video. You want to have your brand out there. If you add links, you can also use bit.ly links. That'll help you track them to see how many people are clicking on them. And use Google Video as a gauge. So if you create a video and you notice that it got indexed in the Google Video search engine, and it's moving up in the pages, maybe you're on the third page, know that you're not quite there yet. But if you're on the first page of Google Video and it's not appearing in the mixed results on the first page, you're almost there. So if it's not in Google Video, then you're still off of the universal. And the universal is really where you're going to get better results. The combined web page that everyone uses when you go to google.com instead of clicking into the video section. Also, it does help to have video in your title, as people do search for video. Maybe they don't want to read an article on Roth area conversions. They just want someone to explain it to them, so they will use video. So the word video does help for that purpose. If you're doing a video, you can include Roth area video in your description or your keywords. Here you have, for anyone who is downloading the slides, we chatted out the link. Here you have a couple more resources, and they're actually very, very helpful sites, and this will really be useful for you. If you have any other questions, you can give me a call, drop us an email, and we'll be happy to help.
What is Google's general timeline for indexing videos? Jason, do you have any notion on that?
Actually, I don't. That's part of their algorithm that they don't really share. I would say give it at least a week, if not a few weeks, before you expect to see some results, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, I guess my impression is that there are levels. Like we posted, we have a couple of videos that we posted on YouTube a long time ago, and I know that those come up when you do a search under Advisor Products. That'll come up. But for instance, we posted a video earlier today on YouTube, the one that's on my blog, the two that are on my blog, and I just checked, and they're not indexed yet. So I think there are going to be different levels. It's going to take probably to really get populated in the index. It's probably going to take days or possibly even weeks.